Everyone, and welcome. This is Karen Newman. This is the Saturday Human Colony Hucolo webinar. It is Saturday, the 27th of March, 2021, and we are here with our very special guest, Lou Martin. We're going to be talking today. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a sort of open, one second, if I can stop that. Yeah, we're going to have a sort of open discussion, of course, involving Lou's amazing gifts, but talking about the pandemic a year on and how we're coping, and anything else that you want to bring up that we don't generally talk about in webinars. I have something I would like to talk about, but anything that may not be a channeled question, but maybe a spiritual question that we can use Lou's expertise to help us answer and gain insight. So that's how we're going to work today. Just a little bit different today. I'm actually sitting on a couch, which is totally different. So we have to do a different structure to the webinar. So today in the room, we have Angie, we have Lou, we have Christine, Daniel, David, Joan, Luba, Salesh, and Sean, and probably more people. We are still an hour earlier in Europe than normal. So by next week, we're all back in the same time zone differences, and because European clocks will turn back tonight. So we'll be back to our 6 hour difference with the US, or for the East Coast. Okay. So Lou, why don't you start us with the blessing? Oh, no, well, go ahead, Angie. Angie has an announcement. Excuse me, Angelina, Julie.
That's okay. Greetings, everybody. I have the next online class scheduled. It is Galactic Energy Healing Level 1. It will be April 24th and 25th. It's 1:30 to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Takur is the teacher on that. And it is $150. And if you're interested in registering or have any questions about that, contact classes@hucolo.org.
Okay, perfect. All right. And Lou is going to lead us in a little prayer, opening prayer. I think that would be a good way to start.
You betcha. Pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, Karen and Angie and Luba, David, Christine, Sean, Joan, everyone. Thanks for being here. Yeah.
It saves me a phone call to you to just have you here, and then we can discuss everything just out in the open with everybody. It would be good.
Brilliant. Yeah. Good idea. Good thinking, as usual. So let's go ahead and get centered. Go ahead and turn within. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Mother, Father, God, indwelling holy presence, we call forth the love and light of all that is as each of us, our guides, guardians, teachers, and friends of spirit, who are here to bless us, prosper us, inspire us, and lift our hearts, lift our spirits, and help us to do the same for our friends and family, for our community and countries, and for the whole wide world, to be a source of inspiration and a place of peace, of compassion, of mercy, of healing, and of deep wisdom, and of joy. Father, Mother God, we give thanks for everyone who's drawn to this webinar here today. We know that everything is unfolding at the highest level of agreement with good for all and truly harm to none. Therefore, we give thanks for the blessings in our life. We are grateful and thankful that all is well. We give thanks, we let it be. It is so, so it is. And together we say, I am that I am. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Lou Martin, how's it going in your place where you are now, in your home?
Yes, it's good. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Karen and I are friends, so we chat sometimes out of these moments, but we're both mad for spirit, of course, like everyone else here. So we like to push the envelope and dive deep together into the mysteries of life. And it's always a joy to get to hang out with you. It's been 3 months since my home was destroyed by fire in a few hours. And that's quite a wake-up call. And it was a bit of a near-death experience as well. So like we're chatting earlier, we can get into some of those things. But truly, I have a beautiful new home. I'm well looked after. I'm still replacing computers and getting back to normal, but I have so much that I'm grateful for. And my connection to spirit is my path, my sanity, my passion, all the above. So I've been continuing my morning prayers Monday through Thursdays from 9 to 10 in the morning in Ireland time, and that's open to anyone on my Facebook page. And doing some talks and doing some sessions and whatnot. So yeah, all that's keeping me right side up and dancing with these powerful energies of this time. My goodness, everyone has been talking about this for weeks. The energies have been just so intense these days.
Yeah, ever since Mercury went direct, right? March 15th. Do you think that's when it really shifted? The 15th of March or what?
Yeah, I mean, either side of that. We have the full moon tomorrow, I think, on the 28th. The new moon was very powerful. And of course, we had the spring equinox last weekend. And I'm a student of this wonderful channel named Lazarus, and they encourage us to do what they call the utilizing the ritual of the equinox or the solstice, where for 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after, you're basically letting go of the past as you come up to the event, and then affirming on the day of and the 3 days after what it is you want to create in your life. And that's been very helpful and powerful as well.
Okay, cool. Well, what I thought of it would be a really wonderful topic today is because this is really last year, this time we were about 1 week into lockdown. This was the first time. And so I thought, well, maybe it'd be good to discuss what's happened over this last year for each person personally. Most people have had very seismic shifts in location, job, living style, what they know, reprioritization, all kinds of just incredible shifts for people. And so I thought, we've got a beautiful room of people and we have people in the YouTube. And I thought this would be a really nice time for people to maybe share something significant that they've gone through. And then if they have a question about how that is, what are they supposed to learn about that, or what should they be knowing, or maybe some other questions outside that. But basically on this topic, it would be great to bounce them off of Lou's, third eye.
My heart chakra.
So bounce it off your third eye and heart chakra. So yeah.
Cool. Well, do you want to get us started yourself?
Yeah, I do. I can say that I had a really in March of 2020, I was in India at the time, but the shift really started in 2015 for me, this bigger shift. But anyway, in 2020, the 15th of March, my father passed while I was in India, which was a very difficult thing. He very fortunately passed before the pandemic started. I think it would have been very difficult. My father had a stroke many years ago, living in a wheelchair, and really, day to day for him was difficult. So he picked a time to exit stage right before all the stuff hit the fan, which, and, but I was in India for that first few months, and I was literally stuck there because I couldn't come home because there was no flights and all kinds of things. But there was a lot of beautiful things that happened because of being there in India, being at the ashram where I go, getting to have closeness with, the leaders of the ashram, and getting that time to really turn inside, and because there was nowhere to go, there was nothing to do. So you just had to go inside. And the Swamiji from the ashram said, don't be locked in, go inside, don't be locked down. You can be locked, but don't be locked down, And so that was a great time of exploration. And it's sort of this moment where you just have to throw it out. Like, okay, I'm just going to trust that I'm safe, that everything is okay, that my needs are provided for. And I ended up coming back here to the Netherlands the end of May, the 26th of May, I came. And since I've been back, I feel like it's been one long day. Like, I don't notice much difference between the day of May 27th and today.
Yeah.
Because there's no, other than I go to the grocery store and I walk my dogs, I've just been working and being here.
Yeah.
But I've had some also beautiful, my meditation practice is very strong. I'm very, I'm in my routine, which is really, really good. And I haven't had a lot of interruption because there's nobody to interrupt you. So
Yeah.
it's, and then in the last month and a half, when I came back from India, I had a lot more clarity about, I definitely want to be spending more time there. And I just sort of threw it out to the universe of, how is this going to happen? I don't know, but I want this to happen. And then just in the last few weeks, I've decided to sell this house and I'm going to buy something quite small so I don't have a mortgage anymore. And
right.
that alone shifts
Yep.
my entire life, because then I am really free. Financially, I'm free. I don't have very many bills. I just can kind of come and go as I need to go. And once we're allowed to travel. And so I'm just gearing up for that. And if you look around my neighborhood, people are moving. I mean, houses are being sold and people are moving and everyone is going and just shifting. And also too, I got a lot of clarity about what's important for me. I let go of a lot of activity that I was doing, where I was, I had been doing a lot of things with a teacher that I was working with. I let go of doing that. I let go of a lot of extra stuff, and just to free up my time so that at least I had, because I was always busy from morning to night, and now I actually have time in the morning. I do my work. I have time in the afternoon. I have time to do those things, and I haven't had that. And just in the prioritization of what did I want to spend my time doing, I was able to kind of get that under control. I see that with a lot of people, letting stuff go that just isn't fun, that doesn't work for them, they don't want to do. And I've done that as well. And it's, the Bashar follow your excitement thing. It really is true. I don't do really anything that I don't want to do now.
Yeah.
I really don't. And it's very freeing. And I saw something the other day where Justin Bieber, funny enough, he said he finally learned that his no's were just as powerful as his yeses. And that was a huge shift for him. And I think that's been something I've been learning, to say, no, I don't want to do that, or yes, I do, or, and that stuff. So,
Good.
So that's not the only thing I wanted to talk about, but that's all I have about this last year. It's been, I feel like we're coming to this end of this, and I won't be in the same house. I won't have all this stuff around me. I'm going to be in a completely different space when the doors open again, which has been so far very effortless and just flowing, just allowing. And, even the decision to sell my house came from being outside, walking my dog and talking to my neighbor who had sold their house. And I was just like, okay, it just gave me that, like, yes, I'm going to do it. And once I said yes, boom, 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 boom.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so that's been spectacular. My work, the psychic work I'm doing, is going very well. I'm working less hours than I've ever worked, but making more money.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And, so if I'm working 5 hours, it means I'm giving readings for 4.5 of them.
Yeah.
It's concentrated and really good. And I'm just ever so thankful. I think a lot of it has to do with the consistency of my meditation.
Right.
And my dedication to service that I've been with. I work with the animals, and I do the ashram, and I do some other things, and I think that is that flow is of
being rewarded. Yeah. Good. Well, you're my hero. You're my inspiration. Yeah, you're doing amazing. Look at you.
Well, it's a big difference from several years ago where I didn't know anything. I had no certainty whatsoever. I still have no certainty, but I'm so okay with it now.
Well, yeah, you're comfortable with the uncertainty, huh?
Well, I've just trusted everything's
Yeah.
all right, and
Yeah.
I'm constantly amazed and y- just to give a big example, I bought this house 20 years ago, approximately. There was nothing in this house, nothing. And it was a huge risk. But this house is going to provide for me. I always said this house was my retirement. And this house is going to, just in what I make from it, allow me complete freedom.
Right.
So the promise that the house made to me and I made to it, it's just, you don't know for years and years if it's going to pay off or it's going to work or how. And but that was also my excitement. I walked in this house and I just knew this was my house. So I'm just so thankful. Yeah. Sean has a question. Go ahead, Sean.
Come on, Sean.
Hey.
That was great, Karen.
Hey, Sean.
Hey. So something came up yesterday, and I was gonna see what you had on it. What I kind of got from it was like this lady was talking about New Earth sanctuaries around the Earth.
Okay.
Like there's one in Kauai, and it's supposed to seed the New Earth. And
that's good.
How I kind of saw it was how Camelot was built. Like it was there, like as a hologram, and they were living in there, and everything was like it felt real and everything, but it wasn't there at the same time. Kind of ordeal.
Sure.
And then so they had you do like a little meditation along with it.
Okay.
To see which place you were drawn to.
Right.
And I live in Utah.
Okay.
And then I was drawn to Moab. And then I was just wondering if you had any insight on that.
Well, I think that's very exciting. That's a very exciting topic. I mean, Karen's talking about, her experience of being guided, of learning to live from the inside out, is the way my guides put it. I mean, it's a thrilling question. I'm here in Ireland, and I've been over to England a few times, and we call the Camelot Avalon for the English. So just to put that out there. And of course, there's the same in Tibet. There are higher dimensional places, and I believe this is part of the future of the new Earth, fifth dimension, and all of that. So yeah, I mean, like Karen is saying, and I'm beating the same drum, my friend. Trust your inspirations, trust yourself. I loved what Karen said here about being of service to people, and when having a meditation practice, and to me, the more we get out of our own way, and the more we truly open our hearts and ask to be of service to humanity, the clearer the messages are going to come in, and the quicker things will manifest. That's my take on all that.
So, Sean, are you feeling drawn to go there, or what is your feeling about what you should do with the information?
Yeah, I am feeling drawn there. Like I've been wanting to go on a little vacation, and Moab was one of the places that I was drawn to because I wanted to go to Sedona and check that out. But then Moab came up, and it just keeps repeating. And
that's in Utah, Moab. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The what?
Sorry, Sean, for interrupting. Moab is in Utah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a desert.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, if you feel drawn, and since you are in Utah, you can probably get there. You should just make your journey and just set your intention to be open to anything that would happen, and just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key, is be intentional. Okay, Spirit, I'm responding to my inner guidance. Thank you for your love and support. I am available. I'm receptive. Thank you for, showing me what's next on my journey. Because the vision, like Karen, you were saying earlier about during the lockdown, you're in the ashram and all you could do is really meditate. So you meditate your brains out. And then on the other side of that, there's like all this flow and all this service and all this clarity. And, it's working like that. We do the work, we will definitely get the goodies.
Well, the Swami Puja Swamiji, he's called. He says, when you're at peace inside, outside you're at peace. When you're in pieces inside, your world is in pieces.
That's
And
it.
so he always says that if something's not going the way you want it in life, there's something wrong in your meditation, because that's where the work is done. That's his thing. But when it comes to being drawn to things, most people will say, oh, I feel a connection to the Pleiades. Do I have any thing with the Pleiades? Well, yes, you do. That's why you have the connection. And instead of questioning, what does it mean? It means you have a connection. So it's your job to explore it. Do you know what I mean? Like if you feel drawn to cooking, it means that you must have a talent at it. There must be something about it that appeals to you that would make you want to explore it. And that's the same with anything spiritually. If you feel drawn to it, there's something in it for you to learn. It is probably not your stopping point at all. It's probably just a wonderful something, that a part of you that you need to explore, and that will continue through your whole life, I think, of feeling drawn to this, feeling drawn to that, and realizing, yeah, there's a connection there for you. So go explore it.
I was just wondering if anybody else had kind of like heard about like the new sanctuaries, like it almost sounds like there's already a city built there, and then when I go there, somehow I'm gonna experience it. Kind of like how Camelot was, like it was there, but it's not at the same time, kind of deal. Like you have to be vibrating at a certain level to experience that place.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. It is like you're saying, Sean, how do I vibrate consistently in a way that I can be receptive to these energies? And I'm sure, as Karen is saying, this is definitely something for you, my friend. Sure. So, trust that. And like we all are, be willing to, be a fool for what you're trusting. Yeah, great. I don't know anything about this, but it feels right. Great. Follow your heart, follow your bliss. And there's just Steve Judd is a wonderful astrologer here in the UK, and he just did a great video, which I can send everyone the link here. It's called "Where Do Fairies Come From?" His name is Steve Judd, and basically, Sean, he's talking about Tir na nog and Avalon, and I can't remember what the Himalayan one for that is. Do you remember? Karen. Anyway, there's all these multidimensional cities. There's some in South America, etc. I mean, El Dorado, that's another multidimensional city. These are, the whole thing about the Mayans, right? The Mayan culture just disappeared one day. Where did they go? Well, they went upstairs is what they did, everyone believes. They ascended into a higher vibration. So yeah, there's goodies there for you. Just keep taking power back into yourself, that you can trust yourself, and there's something here for you about this, and be open to the synchronicities. Like Karen's walking her dogs and she meets her friends that are selling their house, and she's next thing she's selling her house of 20 years. Boom, boom, boom.
I will tell you something. I don't know the name of the city, but all the Himalayas is really bathed in the prayer of all the yogis that are there, all the holy men. And I had an experience when I was up in Uchakashi, which is in the Himalayas. It's up, and we were sitting on the river, on the Ganges, and it's all these rocks, like all these amazing rocks and these big boulders that are, the size of huge, like somebody's deck on their house is one boulder, and they're flat and you can sit on them. And we were all sitting there, and in the meditation, I had in the vision, you've got the Ganges, and then you've got the mountains here in front of you and behind you, obviously. But I had the vision of all of the, the yogis crawl in these tiny caves in the mountains and they meditate, and they go in there and they're in there forever. And then every once in a while they come out. But I had this vision of all of these caves on another dimension where all of these yogis, and they talk about in India that these yogis that are in these deep meditations, I mean, deep meditations where they're there for weeks and months, that they're really holding the vibration of the world, and that's what they're doing. And I saw, at least where I was, just as far as I could see, all these like almost little combs, like of a honeycomb, and they were sitting and they're doing these meditations. And I knew that was a other plane of reality that I was seeing in that moment. So they're there. I mean, they're very much there. And anybody who's experienced a fairy or earth, those kind of experience is actually seeing into another realm.
Yeah. Shambhala is the name I was trying to come up with for Tibet.
Yeah. Okay. For Tibet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the multidimensional, these very spiritual cultures like we're talking about that have these, these spirit worlds that people come and go from,
Yeah. Well, you've got Babaji, who is the ultimate yogi, walking in the Himalayas. He's hundreds of years old and he looks like he's 30. And he's, he just, if you're lucky and if you're, I guess, worthy, I don't know, you will see him and you will experience him and talk with him and he'll become like your teacher. But
right.
So it does happen. So if you feel drawn to it, go. I would say approach it very much like a sacred thing, and approach it, be meditated up, before you go there, so that when you get there, you can just experience and be. Did I say Babaji? I said Babaji, not
Babaji. Yeah, a vision quest,
Vision quest, yeah. Like with the Indians and the sweat lodges and all the Native Americans. You have a lot of Native Americans in Utah, right?
Sure.
It's right and around that area. Yeah, it's Arizona and Utah area.
I mean, it's usually the indigenous people that really have an understanding of the land and where things are and how they're working. And maybe that would be something to explore as well.
Yeah, I was drawn to Dead Horse Canyon. I don't know. There was a lady, because I'm in a empath entrepreneur group, and she was doing a reading for the group, and she was at Dead Horse, and she was talking about how somebody in the group was going to be drawn to this place, and I was already planning on going to Moab. I just didn't know where, so it kind of gave me more that honed in onto where I kind of needed to be.
That's great. Angie had a question. Go ahead, Angie. You can stay on, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Brilliant.
I just wanted to expand on that, is that when we had our second workshop in Arizona, in Sedona, we went up to one of the places. Yeah, the
Vortexes.
place. What was it?
Vortex.
Well, and not only the vortex, but there was one site that had a statue, and it was all Indian, and you had to hike up there to get to that spot. And it has a big medicine wheel in the middle of it. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the name of that was, but Babaji came and spoke to our group during that time. So that was definitely an amazing. We got to experience it.
Jim channeled him.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
I just wanted to share that was the energies of that was amazing. So
while we have you, Angie, what has changed for you over the last year?
I am completely more centered in myself and moving forward with me as an individual. Allowed me to really grow and expand in the way that I needed to. I
Beautiful.
I certainly enjoyed my time off from work, but that was because that's the type of person I am. But it was
Me
You're not
too.
alone, dear.
what's that?
We like
Everyone.
it too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
Great time.
yeah. I've really, even just in the last year, I've grown in a very, very real way, spiritually, um, you know, with all my gifts, everything has just really taken a very large expansion. Very excited
Beautiful.
about that.
Beautiful. Well done.
I got a question for you, Angie.
Yes.
Have you casted any spells yet?
Not yet. I have not got enough energies yet. I'm almost to the heart chakra. I'm like,
Wasn't he saying that if you get to the solar plexus and fill that up, then you could start doing the flourishes?
some of the very basic ones, yes.
We're talking about earth magic and raising energy.
Yes.
It's all about the heart chakra, my friends.
All about the chakra. You know, I have to share that. I have a group that
Can
I
you turn
work
your
with.
camera on or no?
Oh yeah, sure I can, sure, but I'm so sleepy. Does everyone want to see the sleepy face? I
want to see
You
your
can take
sleeping.
it. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I've been teaching this group of people, and we've been now meeting several months, and during this time, you know, individuals will come in and channel through me, and I will you know, and teach this class, and it just boggles my mind at times that I'll teach something to this group, and then within no more than 2 weeks, that same information is coming from, say, Marianne Rada or Daniel Scranton or Cry, you know, it's just like, or Jim, even Jim, you know, and I'm like, I just am like, wow, that just tells me, and it's most of it is based centered heart based. If you once you get in that heart and you
Yeah.
really understand exactly, you know, how all that works and how it really works with your body,
Yeah.
starts here and then everything else.
Yeah.
That's why I say within this last year, I have expanded in a very, very large real way because of my heart centered
Beautiful.
expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
you
Brilliant.
attributed that
I mean,
to the-
what I want to just say is,
yeah, sure. Sorry, please talk. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
one. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
sweetie.
I had nothing. No, I was just agreeing vocally.
So yeah, I'm just saying that when we're talking about the heart chakra and love, this is, you know, and we're talking about channeling Babaji or meeting Babaji or going to Avalon or going to Shambhala or going to, you know, wherever. It really is, you know, just going to get clearer and clearer, you know, that love is the future of the consciousness of the planet, and all us lucky, smart, you know, human beings that are living right now, if we can keep making love and compassion and kindness, you know, our focus with ourselves, as well as the people we work with and teach and all of that, you know, things are going to get very elegant, like you're saying, Angie, very synchronous.
Right.
Well, it does. Just you just things just kind of present themselves
Work.
and huh?
Flow.
Ebb and flow. Yeah.
And what's interesting is you find that I read something, I don't remember who posted on Facebook, but I thought it was really good. It was Latsu saying sometimes our beginnings seem like very tragic endings. Sometimes our most important beginnings seem like very tragic endings. And I thought, yeah, that's it. Because you think things are falling apart around you, but what they are really doing is configuring so that you can move. And some, you know, what's really interesting is people say this prayer of, let me be in service, bring the best things to me.
Right.
And then their life starts falling apart. And they're like, what's that about? Well, the point is that your world, the universe is trying to give you what you've asked for.
Right.
And so the things that in your life that are not that have to pass out. And really, there is no sort of spiritual crane that kind of plucks you up and puts you down over here. It's unless you get picked up like Dorothy, but most of the time that transition it might feel quite violent and especially when you're holding on, saying, no, I need everything to stay the same. I don't want this change. It's too much. It's too fast. It's too big. I'm losing my job. I'm losing my house. I'm losing my friends. But just if you let go and you're not attached, then it's a lot easier. But it doesn't mean it's less tumultuous. It doesn't mean that it just, it just means that you're willing to go with it as opposed to fight it. It's the fighting it that's the hardest. If you just go with it, it seems like you're in the flow. But if you hold on, like I did when my company I was working for literally ceased to be. That's a good way to lose a job. The company just stops. I had it happen twice in 2 years. It was like a message. And I was like, no, I've got to make this work. I've got to make it work. And nothing I was doing was working. And finally I gave up, not out of wisdom, but out of exhaustion. But the universe was they were willing to let me wear myself out like a kid, like a child. Sure. Just let her wear herself out. Eventually she'll acquiesce.
Yes. Well, the universe is very patient with all of us. It has all the time in the world. So
yeah, it's just like in, I do psychic readings. So I deal with a lot of people dealing with a lot of real world issues. Is this guy for me? Is he not for me? Is he cheating on me? And the time, usually the time I get the person to talk to them is when they have discovered they were being cheated on. They have discovered that the relationship is not what they thought it was. And it's really, their world is collapsing. And what I've started to say is to them, this is such a blessing because I have to know that you want to be happy in your life. And so you need to be in a situation where you're not being lied to, you're not being abused and used and all of these things. And all of this has come to your attention so to get you out of that situation. I would say this is kind of the ultimate form of protection for you, because you cannot control what this other person's doing. But because you've asked and you said, I want to be happy, I want to, these things come up so that you have the opportunity to shift away from it.
I was curious.
That's such a great point.
I was curious if anybody's been experiencing things, purging a lot that's kind of keeping you from like relationships or love or anything, because the full moon in Libra is on this Sunday, and I've been feeling it quite a bit, and like anything that's been stopping me from like just things that were interfering with that. But my Venus is in Libra as well, so I'm feeling it a lot more intensely.
So you feeling?
I would say that's a good energy, good combination.
It means you're ready to go for a relationship then.
Yeah, well, I had this situation come up with my friend, and I told her I liked her, but then after, I realized it was a lesson, kind of, because I used to just I used to always like rush it with my female friends, and then it would ruin the relationship or the friendship, and then and I just needed to realize that and then stop that. So
okay, well, that's good. So going forward, you have something.
And then just having trust with other people that, I'm not going to be stabbed in the back. 'Cause I've had a lot of that kind of go on. I had a rough childhood and everything. So, and it just,
Well, Sean, brother, you're sharing some really beautiful things here, my friend. What I just want to say, from what it's worth, from an older spiritual dude to a younger spiritual dude, is you, the message I feel from Spirit is you want to get grounded, my friend. You're very sensitive. You're very in your heart. You're very intuitive. You're very expressive. Grounding your energy, being very focused, being very in your body. I mean, like doing the vision quest, hiking, walking, whatever, I think all of that will be good for you. Because otherwise you're just kind of like, floating around, man, and you got a lot going on, but it needs to get grounded a bit there, I'd say.
Yeah, I realized that as well. I've been doing a lot more yoga, and I've been trying to do
Good.
more and more intense exercises to keep me more grounded. Just like a little bit more weights and stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, have something
Yeah.
literally with some
But
weight to it. Excuse
you-
me. Just trying to sit
your
on it.
intuition is very clear,
Yeah.
I just want to say your intuition, I think, is very clear, my friend. It's that you don't always meet people that can meet you as an equal, spiritually or intuitively or energetically. I think that's the challenge.
Yeah, it has been super.
You're kind of holding some things back, and going, well, if you accept me this much, maybe I'll show you a little bit more, which, I mean, maybe I'm projecting, I don't know, but that's the picture I get here. But, that you have a lot to share. And like we're saying here about your vision quest, trusting yourself, that is grounding also, so I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Awesome.
Sure.
So is it okay if I bring up that thing that I was talking about before we started the show?
Bring it up.
Unless you have something that you want to.
No, run with the ball. I'm having a lovely afternoon here with everyone. This is a joy.
I thought it would be nice because I thought it would be nice just to have a discussion today and just to do something a little more where everyone can participate. Anyone that's
Sure.
in the room and wants to turn on their camera and turn on their mic, you're welcome to. This is a discussion. It's not. But
Right.
I've had this experience. I don't remember when the exact one was, but it's been in the last few weeks that I have had the feeling that I'm watching my life review. Like I'll be doing something and then I'll have this sort of out of body moment where I'm watching myself doing what I'm doing and I'm observing it with the idea of trying to understand what was my motivation, why was I doing that, what kind of mindset I was in, what choices was I making. And it's been really it's been strange. and it's happened several times. Like I'll be like, now even talking about it, I'm having it, this feeling of already this, what I'm doing right now, even though right now I'm talking about what I'm doing right now, that there's
Right.
a part of me that's observing it.
Yeah.
I've already left this planet.
Yeah. See, to me, Karen, this is you merging with your higher self, the witness state.
I guess, but it's, yeah. Or is it, so the question is, because it's the thing of, the feeling is if I'm watching something that I'm reviewing in retrospect, am I already gone? And this is that.
No.
Wow, wait, because there's this thing that I had experienced when I was younger with Theos saying to me, all time is the same time. And they showed me this sort of what looked like a comic strip with all these sort of moments of time. And they said, it's all there. It's already happened. You can focus in on that. And, So I don't know. So it's just weird, and it's happening.
What I kind of got from that is this, like you're kind of experiencing your higher self and how we're multidimensional, and so we can observe like different timelines that are kind of going on simultaneously, and
Exactly.
you're just kind of observing from like a higher, your higher self's perspective, and then you're kind of seeing what different timelines and things that you can experience through that kind of ordeal.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not experiencing different, like, I'm not seeing myself doing different things. I'm seeing myself doing what I'm doing in that moment that I'm doing it. But I keep getting the message that this is a past life review. I'm not guessing, I'm hearing this is your past life review. And I am seeing myself like doing what I'm doing in the moment that I'm doing it, with the understanding that I'm observing it after I'm observing a past thing.
Would you think that you're observing yourself from your future self? Kind of
No,
like if you were to,
no. I said, I'm a hearing, it's a past life review. That's what I'm hearing. So no, that's not what I'm experiencing. You know what I mean? Like it could be like that, but it's not like that. It's not like,
I mean, like if you were to do a past life regression and then you were to go like do a meditation, go back and observe what you're observing, that would be almost like your now self observing your past life self.
yeah, but I have the feeling that it's me observing my life as I lived it, past tense.
Yeah.
But not a future
Well,
self looking at it like almost like I don't exist on the planet anymore. I am done. My life is encapsulated in these bookends of beginning, middle, and end, and I'm watching it. And there's just moments where I clue into that in this life.
yeah.
I don't know.
This is actually something Bashar has been talking about recently.
Who?
You know, he called Bashar.
Oh, Bashar. Okay.
Yeah. So he calls
Yeah.
this he calls this the eye of the needle, and
Hmm.
says
Okay.
we're going through this very intense initiation right now. And, you know, I mean, I related to what Sean was saying. I said it in my own way. You're hearing it, you know, in your way, you're feeling it in your way, but that everything is getting much more subjective and less linear and more multidimensional. And this is the, you know, the connection with our higher self, you know, in some form or fashion, helping us to see things or feel things in new and different ways. Like Lazarus talks about our familiar senses, the five senses, and then we have these unfamiliar senses. You know, they're like 12 chakras actually that we really work with on the multidimensional plane, and the fifth dimension, for example, as I understand it. So I don't know, you know, you know your experience and you're relating it as clearly as you can. I just feel that this is a very powerful initiation that you're beginning to go through about being more multidimensional and more connected to your higher self.
Okay. I'm I'm wondering about, well, no, I'm thinking of it from the term in terms of the observer being Shiva, being God, you know, and that thing of being asleep but having the dream. And then I'm thinking in terms of that as well. It's just when it happens, it's just a very weird, and I had it just as I started talking about it, started to happen again. This kind of,
Interesting
well, yeah,
perspective.
this thing of observing, knowing that what I'm doing at the moment is something I'm watching. It's
Sure.
very bizarre. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah.
Andy, you had that ever?
Me?
You, Lou?
I mean, no, I mean, all these things, I can't directly relate to that, but it doesn't feel foreign either. It's like, let's come back to meditation, that we've been practicing, both of us, for decades, and many people here. When we come back to our expanded sense of self, our God self, our higher self, then everything's possible. We're aware of everything. We're outside of time and space. We just kind of disappear into all of it. And then we come back, and every time we come back, we feel different. We feel more connected to that, universal part of ourself. So I'm just saying, to my mind, this is what I hear Spirit talking about, and what I hear from other people as well, is we're right up against the very edge of, being consciously multidimensional and starting to access more expanded states of perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fact, that's what Sean was talking about the worlds existing in the other world. It's just, it's really, for me, it's more like I can pull it into that, but for me, it's almost like I'm having conscious awareness of watching my former life.
I got it. You're still living it.
I'm still living it, kind of.
Yeah.
In perpetuity, I guess you would say.
Well, I'm with you until that last sentence. I feel like you and I and all of us here, this is Patricia Cota Robles. She says, so you've been preparing for this moment for lifetimes. And, the beginning of this decade, 2020, last year, darkness, death, being thrown into these retreats inside of ourselves, etc., all this spiritual growth. Now, the beginning of this new year, 2021, there is a sense of expanded possibility and hope and greater interconnection after this year of retreat. So I just feel like there are new abilities and new perspectives that are just right there on the edge of our consciousness.
Christine, ask your question, and Daniel, you have to make your comment in just a moment, but Christine, why don't you ask your question, what you just said?
Hi, Christine.
Hi.
You caught me going over to give the cat a treat. I keep getting the impression, though, that we're living all our lives at the same time because there is no time. So when you said we're seeing it from a different perspective, I'm thinking, one of your lives is looking at it, is being able to cross that, whatever that dimension or whatever it is that keeps us from knowing about.
When I was little and Theos talked to me about all time at the same time, which is everything is now, they showed me like this, like if this was a piece of newspaper, but it was spread out as far as you could see. And then, you have like little cartoon, like in a cartoons, like the funny papers, you have these little blocks of time. And what they said to me is that you can move from any one of them and experience anything that's going on. And what they said to me at the time was that not only is time travel possible, but all time travel is possible. And with the all time at the same time, not time travel, like from this year to another year, but from this year to anywhere, or from this moment to any moment. They said it's all happening now. So that said to me that not only am I just now being born, I'm just now being 5, I'm just now being 20, I'm already dead.
Yeah, on some level, that's true.
On some level, that's true. And so what I think I'm connecting to is that which can see that.
Right.
And I have the perspective of, at least because I'm not connecting to other lives of mine, but I'm connecting to the part of me that is looking in on this very moment or whatever moment that I'm experiencing that, as if they're watching something that has been, even though it is.
Sure. Sure.
And we think schizophrenics are crazy. I think it's because schizophrenics can see.
Oh yeah, they're out of time.
Yeah.
Well, we
Sorry
need
for
time
the
and
hack.
space. We need time and space as a container to
Yes,
learn
well,
about.
isn't it interesting? Like I see them in little blocks, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need
In
to-
this, and on Earth, we need it. Maybe if we're another species or something else, we don't need it.
Oh, it's completely different. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, again, to come back to Earth as a living library, which Marciniak talks about, this is the time when, as the vibration, the Schumann frequency goes up, and all these changes are happening in our consciousness below the surface. We do start to be more available to these other lifetimes and to these other realities and civilizations, et cetera. I mean, there are people all over the world, of course, that are connecting to other civilizations, like you're talking about earlier, the indigenous cultures, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's just that we're in the Western model, through this death and rebirth cycle that we're in the midst of with this decade, basically. We're all being challenged to come into this deeper sense of authenticity and authority about trusting ourselves and knowing how to consciously create reality and not being so, as we were saying earlier, addicted and obsessed with time and space and the material world. So that's my take on it. We're all in different little light bulbs turning on, these new abilities because we're open to it, and somewhere in our soul we know this is possible.
Well, what you just said about indigenous people, the one thing that the indigenous people have, like across the board, that the West does not have, is the connection to their ancestors as being a real thing, like a real energy that is present and alive in their life in every moment, that they don't begin anything without honoring first the ancestors and also looking after them, looking after their energy and all of those things. And yeah, that's an important connection that they have that grounds them to this planet. It grounds them to their history, but it's also an energy source that they call upon on a very regular basis.
Can you
imagine their connection to spirit?
Can you imagine children who are going from one culture to another, like American Indian children who, or indigenous. Thank you. Those children going from this particular culture to an Anglican white man's culture, or a Baptist, Southern Baptist type of culture, going between parents of here, there, and wow.
But it's also true not only of indigenous people, but people that have lived in one culture for a long time, like Italians coming to America, or Polish people coming to America, or Asians coming, that there are disparities, and there is something that gets sometimes quite lost because of it's not a bad thing, but it's something to be observant of, losing the connection with your mother tongue as it relates to your history and your culture. Because I can just say, just living in Holland, which is a Western culture, but I know that there's just certain things that you can say in Holland that only make sense in Dutch. There's certain things that are born out of the land here, the way the weather is, the way things are, that you can only appreciate because they are here and they don't work in any other place. And that's the same with people. Sometimes people are quite out of their element sometimes when they're in a new place or away from family completely, because their connection is missing and gone.
I
And-
think a lot of what we're having now, where we're calling the white man problems here in America with anyone who's a different skin color or speaks different or looks different. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that perhaps their education has been in a very tighty-whitey type neighborhood. I mean, I grew up in what I later found out was called something about a white neighborhood. And I didn't realize that because my mother was French. And so I didn't consider myself part of what they were. But, and my father was Portuguese. I mean, and he had some of his. So, but I could pass for what these people were. Of course, I was an outsider no matter what, and I didn't want to belong to them. But these other people who are having this problem, who have been set up as the model, the teen model, the ideal athlete or whatever, and then all of a sudden having to go out into the world and finding out that they aren't so special. I mean, it must be, I think internet is wonderful because it's showing us all these different diversities that is so important.
Yeah.
And I think we're just going through a crash course for some of us, and we're learning to accept people for their differences. I mean,
Yeah.
our schools are failing.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I will say our schools are failing.
No, I wouldn't be so pessimistic, but I just say that we've got a long way to go.
Yes, that I'll say.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's
Well,
something
it
about being
is-
connected to family and being connected to the place where you are and being connected. And if you're not, to try to forge that connection so that you have, that's why integration is an important thing in a culture, not so you get rid of your culture, but so that you have common ground with the people that you're living among. And it fosters more understanding as opposed to highlighting differences. You can have differences. I mean, Lou, what is your experience as an American living in Cork? You know?
Well, that's a great setup. I mean, I love what Christine is saying here. You know, and you know, Karen, you and I are expats in Europe, and Christine's a European. Her family, you know, European coming to America. I mean, you know, I've been treated very well is the short answer to that question, you know, particularly having any Irish ancestry, which I do, and I'm very, you know, proud of. And this is why I'm in Ireland, because it was always, for me, Christine, a search for my own roots, you know, which I didn't have a sense of living in Los Angeles, California, half my life. So as lovely as LA can be. But what I love that we're talking about here is that it really is this struggle right now that I see it particularly in the States, but it's global, you know.
Yes, it's global.
Right, of you know, fear of the other versus respect for and tolerance of the other. And I mean, I have to say, I'm just watching what's unfolding with the Republicans and voting and you know, the right to vote and all that. I don't know if you're following this, but you know, that this is wild. You know, I think this decade is really going to be about us coming together in new and wonderful ways, truly, because we really don't have a choice at the end of the day. You know, we have to support each other in order to survive on the planet, and we have to be on the same side in order to create a society that's meaningful. You know, and I believe that's where we're going, and I'm sure that the schools are the front lines of this stuff. You know, these kids that are coming up in this world right now, they are some brave souls, my friends, because I can't imagine what they're going through dealing with all these things right now, and yet, you know, we are going to find our way through all this. I have no doubt about it. But, you know, it really is about loving and appreciating life and each other and supporting that versus the people that are trying to exploit the difference and keep us all afraid of each other.
Yeah.
You know, through my life, through my very protective life, because I was protected by my father, who would only let me see this type of, you know, only being around these type of people and not that. But what I was going to say is, I lost the train of thought trying to fill in the back stuff. What's going to be really interesting for teachers of today is that our whole education needs to teach the truth about immigration, and that we are all immigrants, really, even the American Indians who were here before us. But through my adult life, when I was working for a bank, we would have an influx of immigrants constantly, new employees with different accents, different this, different that. And I would watch it through, like in 10 years, we had immigrants from South America, immigrants from the Philippines, immigrants from the islands. I mean, the Bahamas, the Haiti, all these different places. So we've been having immigration for a long time. And each time there's a clash. And I was living in the LA area, so a lot of that was sort of absorbed. But when I think about all the people who were losing those jobs because of the immigrants who are taking a lesser pay, I mean, we've got a lot to learn. We've got our eyes need to be open.
What we need, I mean, in order to deal with something like that, is you don't create a situation where you give lesser pay to people. You pay people,
yes,
you know, and you have equal rights when it comes to wages, and there's protections and things like that. And you don't put people in a situation where, you know, the idea that someone will complain about someone who's an immigrant, but be so happy to, you know, pay this desperate person much less for their own greed. That's the problem. It's not that these people are taking our jobs. No, these people are desperate, and they're coming, you know, even something that's lower a lot of times is more
I don't want to do
making before.
And I don't want to do a lot of their jobs that they're doing, that these people are willing to do. So what, I don't know why these people are.
Well, like, I cringe when you say these people. Like, I cringe with that, but I would just say quality across the board. And
my grandparents were in those people. They
no, I
took
understand,
whatever
but
job.
I know, but this conversation's turning.
Okay.
Okay, but I would just say the equality and protection for people across the board, regardless of race, color, creed, sexuality, and everything, is really what is going to make the difference, so that you don't have this fear of the other. But there's no, if we truly embrace oneness, if we truly embrace equality, then that is the difference. Not that we have to pit, you know, my grandmother, or not my grandma. Yeah, my grandmother was Polish, and she married a German, and that was considered at that time a mixed marriage. Sure. Seriously, that was in Pennsylvania, and like my great grandmother's. This is my great grandmother. Her aunt wouldn't even come to the wedding because she was marrying a German. You know, and I mean, so it never matters from where someone else comes. They're always the other. And until we embrace that and protect each other, that will continue to be the case.
Yeah.
Right.
That's very true.
So in the Constitution, it says all men are created equal and guaranteed by their creator certain inalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, some of the most radical words that have ever been uttered by a human being on the planet. And here we are 240 some years into this experiment. And, you know, as we know, it's the battle is fully engaged at this point, you know, about who has power and these kinds of things. So, I mean, you know, this is why America is so important to the world, because it really is the idea that we can live by principles and ideals and be of service to each other, rather than fight over the scraps and hate and fear of not having enough.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, in the Dutch Constitution, the first line of it is iedereen is gelijk, which means everyone is the same. That's
There you
the
go.
Constitution.
Yeah.
Everyone is the same. And
Yeah.
but even here, I mean, there are disparities between who is more the same than who has more rights to be the same than others.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I think like I understood what you were saying earlier, Christine, about these people. I mean, it is a flash phrase, Karen. I take your point. I was like, oh, okay. But we knew what you were meaning, I think, both of us, and everyone here. It's I'm very hopeful about America, and I'm very hopeful about the future of the planet because things have turned the way they have over the last since November. I'll just say that, and January was a desperately close call in terms of losing the country as we know it, but we survived that. So, I think we're going to get there because we have to get there, in order to.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I'm just
survive.
sitting here listening, and I'm sitting here listening and I'm agreeing with you. And then yet we're three white people having this conversation about equality. And I mean, there's no other, and if there's anybody of color here that would love to join this conversation, it would be great. But
Yes, or disagree with us, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
disagree, but share from perspective, how we can talk about equality when we're pretty much equal all the time.
Well, we in the States, I mean, this is Bernie Sanders, God bless him, and he had Robert Reich, of all people, giving testimony about income inequality in the US and how it's as bad as it's been for nearly a century, and 20 years ago, 30 years ago, CEOs were making 20 times their workers' income, and now they're making 320 times their workers' income, et cetera, et cetera. And Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, is fighting to keep his workers from being able to have a union anywhere in any part of the company, et cetera. So I'm not saying the fight is over. I'm saying the fight is fully on. And what I was referring, and the Republicans, bless them, and all they're doing to make sure that Black people never vote again in America.
We lost your.
So anyway, on it goes.
Yeah, well, that it makes me it's a very uncomfortable thing to view, especially with Lou and I, like, viewing it from Europe to America and looking at it like what's happening to our beautiful country in this situation. Yeah.
But I'm seeing more than just this country. I'm also hearing about these people who, because of war, I mean, I fear for Afghanistan. If we withdraw, what's going to happen to all those women and all those young people who are growing up with being able to sing? Even the Taliban is already saying, once you get out of here, we're going to take over and we're going to make sure that it's just as that these people can't sing their songs unless they're about Allah and unless we say it's okay. Well, that's kind of scary for me because I feel responsible, for, and it's not just Afghanistan, it's all these other countries. When these immigrants are moving into, like, France, my mother's country, when they move into France and maybe just one person does something stupid and they're part of the immigrant society, the community, and they cause the beheading of these people. And then she admits that she lied. I mean, what do we do about this growth? I mean, we have to grow.
Well, we can't, we probably individually can only hold the energy for the well-being of everyone and help propagate sort of an awakening among people by awakening ourselves. And that's
Yes.
the answer. You cannot,
Yeah.
from your beautiful home there, you shouldn't worry. You should work on your inside. You know, if there's something like you work with animals and you're very much an advocate for them, and that's in real time something you can affect, you can support, you know, you can support leaders who are saying the same thing you're saying, but worrying is not the energy to propel. You're looking at what's going wrong as opposed to holding the light of what could be beautifully created and what other reality is there of a world where people are more open and accepting, and by modeling that energy, it's like dropping a pebble in the ocean or the pond and letting it go out and out. But tying yourself in knots means you're looking at only what's going wrong. Celebrate what's going very well. There are a lot of things
I don't just worry about it. I send myself in a spirit.
what we're talking about.
Okay.
I'm saying maybe don't even do that.
There's this on YouTube. It's One Bike, One World. And it's about this guy who is on a bike and he tours all of Europe. Mm-hmm. And he takes you on that tour on his bike with his cat. And I see beautiful things. He just goes through Turkey. He goes through all these different countries, but that was before. But he only shows nice things and good things, and those are the things that I like to watch on YouTube if I worry. And then the other woman who takes this horse farm that she has somewhere in England or Ireland or something, and she doesn't use bits on her horse, and she takes her horses with her and her dog and her cat, and she goes camping on this beautiful green area. I mean, puts packs on the horses and goes camping. To me, that's the world that I like.
Well, then focus on that. Propagate more of that.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, but Karen, in fairness, you know, we have to sometimes talk about the problem in order to find the energy.
But you know, worrying is a something that you, if it spawns action, but if it only spawns stress and more worry, it's not very good.
Spawns action.
Right.
I send money to these different groups. Money. Yeah. And my hair is thinning.
Okay.
I mean, I'm almost bald.
I love you. You're doing fine. You know, I loved what you were saying about your videos. I'm the same way. I'm watching. There's an Australian woman who's an expat living in Italy, and she's just, you know, doing the clothes and the food and the painting and the, you know, refurbishing houses. And I'm going, gosh, isn't that gorgeous? It's so inspiring, you know. And there are 2 or 3 other people's. There's a woman in the Northwest called the Cottage Fairy, who also, you know, lives very elegantly and simply and very creatively, etc. And yeah, I'm watching these people like going, this is really nurturing for me. This is inspiring for me, you know. So, I mean, we're all, you know, we see the problems and then we look for things to be inspired about. And you know, Karen's making a great point, obviously, Christine, that our energy is all we really have. And we do, conscious people want to keep coming back to, there is a solution to this. You know, one time Abraham said to us, you know, folks, you think if you can find 1 or 2 solutions to something, you're a genius. There are like 30 different solutions to every problem, you know, if you just expand the field of possibilities. So that's what I want to bring to this conversation. But sweetheart, you clearly are deeply compassionate and caring human being, and I think that's wonderful. But yeah, let's be as positive about sending help and hope, you know,
I want to, Daniel, are you there? He said something that I thought was interesting about what he's been experiencing in the last year. Are you there, Daniel, or not?
Yes, I am.
You turn your camera on or no?
I can.
Okay. Will you? There you go.
I took my hat off to show my bald head.
You're lovely, darling. Please, let's be on your side, not on your
Okay.
case. Hit it, Daniel.
So mine is embracing of stoic.
Wow.
Oh, what does that mean?
Uh,
Stoic. What it defines stoicisms? Stoicism?
so the basic premise of stoic life path is not to worry about all the events you cannot control outside. Worry about what you can control within and your immediate things.
Beautiful.
That's what
Yeah.
it's really about. On the core.
Within your four walls of your home and within the inside of yourself, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a challenging thing because I like one guy who was the Mr. Sean, who was speaking earlier. Yeah, I am too sensitive to people's energy when I'm looking at them or they're looking at me. I can sense whenever they're beaming at me or that I can sense their change of energy, more of anger, things like that. So this I had to start break this mainly at work. Things, the events happening in my life over the past year. It's been a great help.
So
Great,
give us some
brilliant.
examples of how it's worked for you. What have you learned? I mean, what have you learned the most? You know, what have you learned the most?
So
Can I just say, Daniel, I love saying about being able to choose between what you have control over and what you do not. That's a huge insight, you know.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
The prime example here was about last year, and on April 1st, I was in here to fill up a water bucket, but the water valve did not close. I would do a simple mechanical trick. You try to open the valve all the way open, and while it close. Usually it works to close the water valve. This time it didn't. It popped out of the socket, and then there was a beam of about 30 pounds per square inch of water pressure beaming like an arrow out of the bathtub wall to the other wall on the other side. And
Wow.
I was shooken up about that for days. Even though it was completely out of my control, I tried to show that it would work. I had to go get to maintenance down at the department office. They shut it off and fixed it within about 30 minutes. But my neighbor next door, he was like, "What's going on?" When I gave him an answer, not what he wanted, he just kind of mulled about ever since. And I remember staying out here by my deck while I was cleaning up the mess that was happening. I caught his eye when he was looking over at me. That when I received back was, "Arr! How dare you!"
Yeah.
And it's hard
Life can happen,
to shake
man.
that off after that. Yeah.
Sure. So you survived that, obviously, with your stoicism.
Yes.
Good man. Good man.
You know, the serenity
Great. Are there
prayer. Go ahead, ask him.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
I just want to say the serenity prayer is lovely. Yeah. You know,
Do you know the serenity prayer, Daniel?
Serenity.
So it's in the 12 step.
That's what you get if you're supposed to be serene if you're stoic.
Yes. It's been an evolving process. Looking at the news and like,
it might not.
Toxic. Close.
Well, there's a serenity prayer that is part of New Thought, and it also comes into 12-step programs like AA and NA and all of these things. And the serenity prayer, do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
I do not know it.
Do you want to?
Sure. Lord, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's stoicism.
It really is, yes. And I mean, that was divinely guided by the chap that did the big book for the 12 steps of AA, Bill W., who, I mean, this is the thing, Daniel, good for you. I want to say again, man, that you're exploring, the wisdom of the ages, and willing to find the answers to our modern challenges, burst pipes and ugly neighbors and all these lovely things we get to deal with. But the Stoics are coming back to the self, basically, and this is what Karen and I are saying here about the serenity prayer, that as you come back to yourself and you're compassionate and merciful and kind and self-loving, then the dramas tend to dissolve in thin air eventually.
And it's the thing of what, if you can't control something, like what's going on the other side of the world,
Yep.
then you can know the difference of, focusing on what you can control, the beauty, what you can do. And if every person did that, the world would clean up really quick. It would really clean up really quick. There would be a lot more
Yes.
allowing and a lot less pushing against, a lot less needing, Abraham used to use, I don't know if she talks about this anymore, but used to talk about that you don't need to empty the kitchen of a choice. You only have to just take
Right.
what you need. She would say if there's pepper in the kitchen and you don't want pepper in your pie, you don't have to eliminate it from the kitchen. You just don't put it in your pie. And that's the same thing, as we do not have to impede or stop or push down anything that we don't agree with when it comes to other people by creating a situation that makes it where they can't exist, where they can't be, where they can't, you can make it where you can give people water when they're thirsty and it doesn't ruin your day. We don't need laws to say no water for people. I'm alluding to the new laws, but we don't have to do that. We don't have to, if you don't like, yellow balls, you don't have to go to every store that has them and destroy the store because there's a yellow ball there. You can just choose not to buy yellow balls.
Good point, dear.
Yeah.
So let that be a lesson to you.
Yeah, let that be a lesson to you, Daniel.
Like I'll ever do such a thing.
So in your stoicism pursuits, is it through meditation that you're doing this, or what do you do? What is the path?
Well, I just have this book. It's just a series, actually it's 2 books. It's just a series of things to reflect on from each day.
Yeah.
And the other one is 365 Tao. Because to me, they're like, even though there were 2 things developed on, one in Europe, this was first developed in Greece, this was developed in China, but they're essentially doing the same thing, just 2 different approaches.
Yeah, well, there's always every culture has something that their truths, and usually at the core they're the same. So what made you choose this now? Like you said during the lockdown, that's what was there an event? Was there what happened that you chose this now?
It was a series of events that was happening, whether it's here in the apartment. I got my second diagnosis of a DVT in my leg. And there's a series of things happening at work. The political realm was winding me up.
Yeah, you and everybody, yeah.
And learning to center my energy more readily.
Mm-hmm. And is this it's been beneficial for you? Are you going to continue with it?
Yes. I feel like I'm being steered into it. Like I'm just accepting it as this is part of me now.
Great.
Yeah.
That's
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. want to, really thank you for showing up and sharing this timeless wisdom with us. And I think that, we do know the truth when we hear it. It's just that in the modern world, we don't get to hear a lot of it unless, like yourself, you're seeking it out. So it's great.
Oh, it's frozen.
It's like strengthening a muscle, and it's like it's lighting you up from within when you every time you read something. So that's a great gift you're giving to the world, your own inner journey there. Thank you.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting that most of this guidance involves disconnecting from things like the news, the bad news, and really focusing inside your four walls, inside your, inside yourself, and really giving less oxygen to those things that are so heavy, that weigh us down so much and cause so much division and so much stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to attain, sustain, and maintain peace, my guides say, is, such a great gift in the world right now, you guys, because like you're saying, Karen, so many people are so filled up with worry and anxiety and fear and conflict and confusion, and what everyone's looking for is that peace of mind, of the Stoics and the Tao and all that. And, if we can see that in ourselves, every day, and let that flower bloom and blossom, then we really do have something powerful to offer the world. People will sense that, when they meet us, online or in person. It's like, whoa, there's something different going on here. And it's, as you're saying, Karen, it's because we've made the inner focus more important than the outer, passing show.
Yeah. Just an aside. Today is Earth Hour, and it's from, no matter what time zone you're in, it's from 8:30 to 9:30, where you're encouraged to switch off your lights, switch off your computer, switch off your internet, and just have the moment to give the earth a break and to focus on inside, but also in the well-being of the planet. And that's today. And some parts of the world have already been at 8:30, but I still have it coming up in 3 hours, and it's it's a little after 5:30. So for me, and so tonight from 8:30 to 9:30, I would encourage everyone to switch off. That's the theme this year. Switch off for nature is the theme. And to just take the time to, no lights, nothing. Yeah. Candles,
it's like 3 a.m, isn't that the meditation time for many traditions, where the grid, the chatty vibe, mental grid is finally down, and there's like a bit of serenity and peace in the universe, and you can really, hear the messages.
Yeah, that's the time to pray and meditate, and to 3 is, I'm more of a 4:35 person. 3 is the time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a 6 in the morning person.
Are you 6?
Yeah, typically I wake up around 6. Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time outside?
I do spend time outside, not a lot of time, because of the weather here. It's not great, but yeah, I usually do a walk every day, at least, to, keep things moving and get some fresh air and all. Yeah.
Christine can't sleep until 3 a.m. So she does her meditation, then goes to bed. But other people are waking up.
One can see.
Huh?
She's clearly a weirdo then. It's obvious.
Luba, do you have anything to say, Luba? She's been quiet. Does anyone else have anything to contribute as we come
No,
to-
I am okay. I'm okay. I'm just listening. I would have a lot when it comes to, hold on. Oh gosh. When it comes to, we were talking about differences in culture, this and that. And
can camera, can you turn it on?
Hold on.
There she is.
Mm-hmm. So I am strong culture believer. I love it. I grew up with that. I even was part of performing group for 4 years, where we were folklore group. That was my best and happiest year of my life.
Beautiful.
And we keep in this tradition. And this tradition came from, my country was under slavery for over 100 of years by Turks. So there was always, but we are small nation and we survive.
Where are you from originally?
Slovakia.
Okay.
Yeah. Czechoslovakia previously. So it's just, I love it. And that's what I'm missing in America. I live in New Jersey right now. I'm missing. I don't have that. Yes. So, when you go, let's say you go to party, and regardless what part of your country you're from, you always have and know the songs, those from the culture. I'm not talking about pop music, nothing like that. You go to weddings, and again, we're talking about hundreds of years. Those songs was created, and so this has a huge value in my heart. Sure. And as you mentioned, my mother language. This is the best language I can speak. Anyway, when we finish this YouTube, I would like to talk to something. I have a question. So, okay, to you, Karen. To you, Karen.
Okay. Is it something you can say online or no?
Yes, of course. It's just about. I would like to bring somebody. If you remember that.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll do that after.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, but I will say that, like, where Lou said he really felt a connection to Ireland because he's got Irish roots and he was looking for his roots. I did that for a good part of my life. I really looked for my connections. And for instance, like my father, we never knew my father's side of the family. I figured out why later, but we didn't. And so, we knew that we had, different nationalities. But I remember the first time I came to Germany, and that was like in 93 or something, 1993. I remember looking and I saw people in Germany that looked like my father. They had the same facial structure. They had the same, hair, and I felt this sort of deep connection. Like, okay, I know where I'm from. I know what I'm, I know where I kind of fit in, and even though I ended up in Holland, which is just, one country to the left, or to the right, depending on which way you're facing, but I also have Irish, Scottish, and English roots. But I always, as soon as I came to Europe, I'll just give you this thing. There was a hotel in Essen, Germany, and I was coming down the stairs of this amazing wooden old staircase, just like you think of from the earliest part of the century. And it was just, the smells and everything. And I was listening to this German opera song as I was walking down, and just being in Germany, hearing this German operatic song, seeing the people that looked like my people or my father's people, I was transported instantly in time to, like, this is where I've been. This is where my roots are. This is where my DNA comes from. And it was so powerful. And I just sort of made that not doppelgangers. I mean, people with similar facial structure. but
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because,
and I never had that.
Yeah, when I am from, again, we can recognize ourselves, believe it or not. We can recognize who is from Czech Republic.
Yeah.
From Russia, Poland, Hungary. We are same, but we are different, believe it or not.
If you've ever been to Istanbul, which is really interesting, and you're walking through the tourist area, you have these people standing at the spice market, and they will yell out to people in their native language
I know.
because they're so good at knowing exactly where each person.
Mhm.
And I was interested to know where they thought I was from because, you know, and they, well, of course I didn't even talk, and they said, oh, you're American, you're Dutch, and they just could just go through the different people. And I was talking to one of the people, and he says, you know, he goes, we specialize in this, but they just really knew where.
I was able to recognize American in European airports.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
That is
loud.
so true.
They're loud.
But talking back to about myself, you just mentioned that you are, I'm gonna joke, you are mud.
I'm mad.
Mud.
I'm mud.
And
yeah.
Yeah, because mixture of everything.
Yeah.
Not everything, but a little bit of
Exactly.
different corners of the world. And I don't have that. I don't. I mean, I'm just Slovak, and my grandparents were Slovak, and great-grand, and it's just, that's how it is.
Yeah.
That's
Well, yeah, Luba, I'm so happy to connect with you, my friend. I mean, I love what you're saying, hun, that, you know, people are very proud of their culture, and their culture is their food and their music and their traditions and the dance and, you know, how everything runs. I mean, culture is the template of that society's way of living in the world, you know? And I mean, this is what I find so, I mean, it's been great, of course, to travel, like you're saying, Karen, and to get to see the world and see other people and see other cultures, you know? I've been to Budapest, I've been to Prague, you know, just briefly, but even that little taste of those countries was, you know, so powerful, you know, and to see how we're all connected. I mean, this is my theme here for today, if there is one, is, you know, we are all connected. Obviously, we're in the same boat together. And as we celebrate our differences and share our uniqueness, you know, and feel safe and feel accepting of each other, then there's no limit to what we can do and create. It's just this whole divide and conquer madness, you know, that has infected the world that we're all trying to wake up from, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just said that how to celebrate the differences, and that's how we felt. We appreciate our differences. So you're not mixing culture, but when you see them, how they perform and this and that, it's just beautiful. It's beauty of other countries. You know, Brazil, you know exactly where it belongs to Brazil, all that stuff, Jamaica, Honolulu, you know, Hawaii, that it's just all over Italian, German, you know. So remember Chevy Chase movie when he went to Germany? How he was dancing?
No, I didn't.
I don't remember. What was the movie? I don't remember. I think I do. Like
I believe it's Griswold on European Vacation, something like that.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, he's dressing in the lederhosen and
yes, and then and it's just funny, but it's how they dance in waltz belong to Vienna, so we know exactly where it belong to whom.
And from what it's born. You know what? I have a very good example. I don't have the book here. Do I have it? I'm looking to see if I have it. I don't have it right here. Does anyone remember the Book of Gnomes? Do you remember the book?
Yes, I've seen it.
I just recently saw it.
It has the gnome on the front.
Yes, and yes, and there's exactly, and I believe it's purple color or something like that.
It's white, and it's got.
Is it white?
And there's a gnome on the front with a little red hat. Well, what's really interesting is I've had that book. Oh, I've had that book my whole life, like since I was a little kid, like 7 or 8. I remember if I got it for Christmas or something. I loved that book. And it stayed in my mind forever. And I was having some experiences with things, and I went and I just felt like I needed to go look at that book, like recently. So now, you know, I'm much older than what I was when I was, you know, 8. And the book, and I remember images, and I remember being in a certain place in Utrecht, which is just part of the area where I'm living, but it's more like lots of trees and forests. And I remember thinking, wow, I wonder if there's gnomes there, like because of the forest. And I know here, like I've been looking for them. I opened the book. Well, who wrote this book? It was a Dutch artist. And it was when I was in Utrecht, and I was like, I wonder if there's gnomes here. And I go and I just opened the book, and I realized that what I was looking at and what was in the book was exactly the same place. The forest where I was, and the forest that I was thinking, wow, I wonder if it was the same one from the book. And the artist was there. But all of that lore and all of that experience, and the guy claims that everything he wrote in there was true. And apparently there's like big things, but this artist was this Dutch guy. And it was just so amazing to me that like it had stayed somewhere in my mind, and I felt the connection. But it wasn't until like I had that experience in Germany that I was standing in that exact forest. And even though the book is illustrated, I had this connection through time to the book. And what I'm saying is that the connections to understanding something from its own origin is so much more powerful. That's why reading like Sanskrit and understanding it as opposed to a translation is so powerful. Reading any kind of or experience any kind of connection to the place, if you have the ability to get to the place or to find every culture. Eastern Europe has amazing, it's the old world. It has thousands of years of culture just bred into the stones of it. And you really sometimes don't have to go too far, but if you could just understand the culture of where you are and embrace that, you'll have such a deeper connection to whatever it is you're studying. Just every American should really be versed in Native American culture because it's right there. The Indians, Native Americans walked and cultivated that land. They were born and died there. Their understanding of the connection to the universe is there and born out of the ground there. And there's so much that we miss from not connecting to culture. Yeah. Whether it's our own culture or another's culture, we miss so much by just paving it over and putting up a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh, well, of course, this is what we're rediscovering now, isn't it?
Yes,
when we're talking about fairies, gnomes, and the ancestors. This is what this time is about: reconnecting with all that.
Exactly so much. So
I am wondering if we got ourselves consumed by material stuff and we forgot our creator somewhere in the line. Yep. And that's what happened. Yes. And of course, ego play huge, big part, but it's part of us.
Exactly.
Well, yes, and in a spiritual crisis, when we're all retreating deeper into our lives and ourselves and looking for the meanings of things, we're accessing these wonderful resources again, I'd say.
Yeah. I think it's just important. So if you have a history of being Italian, and learn about your history. If you have the chance to be in Italy and you have the chance to see the you understand, like when you're in Italy and you experience the land and the thing, you understand why this dish was born out of the land. You understand where, you know what I mean? It's just such a beautiful thing to understand how things came about and why, and what was the tradition, what was the necessity. Dutch food, unfortunately, is not, all that great, but you understand like some of the native dishes, the things that are really indigenous to Holland, like potatoes, things that they farmed, are part of the main dishes. And one of the most beautiful dishes is stamppot, was just this old sort of mashed potatoes and carrot thing, but it's something that came from what people had and what they used and what they cultivated. It just, when you're eating it, you understand Holland just a little better. You know, when you're looking at a Van Gogh or Van Gogh painting and you see the clouds and the grayness, and you look outside and you see the clouds and the grayness, you realize that you're in the place from where that was born. And it just gives you a stronger connection. If you can try to connect everything that way, it really gives you a deepening of experience.
And do not forget to snap some picture of tulips, because they are
Well, they're
famous.
starting to bloom right now outside.
Oh, really? Beautiful. They are gorgeous.
Yeah.
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 Karen, honey,
I'm
I'm gonna sign off here, I think.
We are at
Yeah.
the top. Do you want to give us a quick blessing as we go out, and then we'll.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you for the opportunity to hang out with all these lovely souls. It's been a joy as always. And on your final note there, I hope I get a chance to come and visit you before you move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So thanks everyone for being here. Yeah. And let's just turn within, close our eyes, take another deep breath together. Higher self, Holy Spirit, Father, Mother, God, indwelling Holy Presence. We give thanks for all the weavings together of this beautiful tapestry of culture and people, of the ancestors who are a part of this conversation, blessing the fairies, the gnomes, the elves, the elementals, who are so much more and more each and every day a part of our lives. And Father, Mother, God, blessing this rich world that we are blessed to live in. Humanity and Mother Earth growing together in this time as never before. Use us, guide us, help us to serve Mother Earth and humanity with every breath, with all that we do, with every action and thought in our lives. We're grateful and thankful for these times of seeing a bigger picture and touching hearts together as one. Give thanks, let it be, it is so. So it is, and together we say, I am that I am, and amen.
Amen. So it is. Thank you. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you. Thanks so much. My pleasure. Anytime. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Angie has some announcements. Yeah.
Yes,
Joan, I saw your
and,
message. I'll get that information in the book to you. Don't hang up as soon as the thing's off. So, what is your announcement, lady?
the announcement is our next class has been scheduled. It is Galactic Energy Healing Level 1, taught by Takur, and it is April 24th and 25th from 1:30 to 4:30 EDT. Price is $150, and if you're interested in that class, please send an email to classes@hucolo.org.
Yes. Pretty soon you'll be able to sign up on the website for that. Yeah. Big announcement. We have a new website coming probably in less than a week. We've made huge headway, and it's going to be a surprise to everyone. We will keep the other website as a legacy website. So if you are interested in any information on there, it's not going away. It's going to be part of a link, and you'll be able to access that. So we're very excited about that. And next week, Jim will be back. And please like and subscribe. It was just a little different today, just something, a little discussion, make it a little bit more where people could talk and share everything. So much love to everyone, and we'll see you next week, next week. And I'm leaning forward like this because I'm stopping